Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Shamrock Sports. We are coming to you from the second floor of the Duncan Student Center. We have a great show for you tonight. We're going to recap last week, look around college football, and look ahead to this week of Notre Dame football. Tune in. Shamrock Sports starts now.
I'm Ellen Geyer, and you're watching Shamrock Sports. And my childhood dreams coming true.
You know, Notre Dame, they won it in the year that doesn't count. This doesn't matter at all. Join a conference.
Williams helmet off. He's out. Jafar Armstrong in. Fake to him. Setting up the screen to Armstrong. Here goes the senior from Missouri. Room to run inside the 10. Inside the 5. To the right. Ray lined up in the backfield. Same motion, same setup. This time it's the boot. Bryce in trouble, and he is brought down by Foskey. Now they will go. Yep, bouncing outside. It is Kieran Williams. He will go the distance. Notre Dame touchdown, Kieran Williams.
Welcome back. I am your host today, Kieran Cantwell, alongside John Bailey. John, I believe this is your first time on Shamrock Sports with us today.
Yes,
How are you
sir.
feeling?
I am incredibly excited to be here. Watching you guys has been so much fun this year, and I'm excited to actually be part of this and contribute some of my thoughts. Some hot takes in store today. That's all I got to say. I'm just warning you. They're going to be spicy.
Yes, well, we're equally as excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. So let's get right in. We're going to first recap the Pittsburgh game from last week. Notre Dame entered the weekend as the #3 team in the nation. Won 45-3, finished the game with 38 unanswered points. John, what did you like from this one?
Oh boy, I just love the play calling, really. I thought this was the most aggressive game by Brian Kelly all year long. He's been vocal all week in press conferences that we need to move the ball down the field more, that Ian Book himself, he's the most critical of Book that I've ever seen him, saying that he needs to make the big plays, that he needs to take the shots and trust his receivers in those one-on-one situations against cornerbacks, and he finally did that. And we saw that with some couple of big plays with Ben Skronik. You know, 2 touchdowns along with 73 yards. He was absolutely phenomenal. Now, I know you can't rely on him to replicate that in every game this year, but I would like to keep an eye on him. I think he could, be a breakout star in a couple of these games down the stretch, and you might be able to have to go to him when you have so many shutdown corners on a team like Clemson. He might be the guy who needs to step up in that situation.
Yeah, you mentioned the play of Ian Book and Ben Skronik. Book went 16 for 30 for 312 yards and 3 touchdowns, added 40 yards on the ground, got it done in both areas of the game. Very impressive from him. After a lot of fans and Brian Kelly were very critical of him. He had not done a great job so far this season of moving the ball down the field. We have relied a lot on our defense and running game. Book really needed to step up and improve his play, and he did exactly that. And then you mentioned Ben Skronik, a grad transfer from Northwestern. He played in his first game as a member of the Irish last week, got a couple catches, but this week found the end zone twice. 2 huge plays, a great catch down the sideline on a jump ball from Book, where he took on 3 Pittsburgh defenders. Very impressive play there. So what else have you seen? What do you like from the coaching staff most of all?
And really, it was just the aggression on both sides of the field. We didn't let up at any point during the game. You could tell at halftime that, most likely Notre Dame was going to run away with this one. But I didn't really see Brian Kelly let up at all. Obviously, he subbed in some of the other players to avoid risk of injury and protect a lot of our starters, but he did not let the foot off the gas. Obviously, he could have blitzed more if it was more competitive, but he still consistently rushed the passer. We had 6 hurries the entire game, 3 sacks, and the secondary is just lights out. I argue that we have the best secondary in all of football. Obviously bolstered by our stud, Kyle Hamilton, likely be a first-round draft pick. But I also got to say, we have some of the best coverage linebackers as well. We're talking about Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Not necessarily have the best game pass rushing wise. He didn't sack the quarterback at all, but he did have that interception. And I think that's just a testament to our guys and our linebackers being able to drop back into coverage and read the quarterback. Joey Yellen looked lost out there. He looked like Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. He could not read the field. 3 interceptions and just an abysmal performance on his part. And obviously, he's not necessarily the most talented quarterback in all of college football. Trevor Lawrence, it'll be interesting to see if we can do better with him. But I think it's a testament to that our guys are complete top to bottom. Defensive line, linebackers, cornerbacks. All 3 levels are complete on this team. And I think we have a scary defense.
Yeah, and it was tough for Joey Yellen, thrown into the Dogs. One of the best defenses in the nation that he had to play, a redshirt freshman, only his 2nd start of his career, because Pittsburgh's starting quarterback Kenny Pickett was out for the second consecutive week with an injury. I think that the game could have been a lot different if Pickett were available, but we really took advantage of the young quarterback. Yellen put a lot of pressure on him. And then you mentioned Owusu Koromoa, one of our best defensive players, best playmakers in the entire nation.
Just a leadership presence, too.
Exactly. A very versatile linebacker. You mentioned the interception to add with all of his previous pass rushing statistics so far this year. Any other noteworthy performances on the defense?
You know, I really think it's a team defense. You have studs like Owusu Koromoa and Kyle Hamilton, but really I think it's just the completeness that there is no weakness really, that you can have guys, you have depth stepping up. We talked about Brian Kelly subbing people in once the Irish started to pull away in the second half, but that just shows that, you know, our backups can step up if someone does get hurt. And obviously in this coronavirus season, there's so much uncertainty regarding the health of the players. You know, we saw that Graham Mertz, the Wisconsin stud quarterback, he tested positive, and, you know, they don't have depth at the position. Obviously, quarterback's different than, say, linebacker or defensive end, but I think it is a testament to our team and the recruiting by Brian Kelly to have such a deep and well-coached team top to bottom that if someone does go out, like Kyle Hamilton, you know, his injury, we have people who could step in his place and contribute at a very high productive level.
Yeah, that's a good point you make about the coronavirus, really testing the depth of our team. I do want to mention, we dominated the time of possession this game.
Yes.
We had over 40 minutes of entire time of possession. That really shows the physicality that we played with, how we controlled the entire game. However, it wasn't a great statistical performance from our stud, Kieran Williams. He's really stepped up and been most of our yardage this year, I would say. He only ran for 38 yards, physical yards. He added over 30 yards through the air. But what else did you like from our offensive line?
You know, I was just going to talk about that, actually. The time of possession, I think, was on full display there. We just simply didn't give Pitt any chance to come back. We, you know, continually wore them down. And you're right, Kieran didn't have his best game, but that's okay because we have other guys who can step up. You know, Ian Book, he did pick up 40 yards on the ground, and he is a mobile quarterback and do what he needs to do at times. And I think Chris Tyree is a great second option as well. And Kieran, I like to compare him to, you know, the prototypical NFL running back these days, the Christian McCaffreys, the Alvin Kamaras, who can do things out of the backfield. He doesn't always have to get it going on the ground, as long as he's always a threat in the receiving game as well. You know, whether that is just a little, you know, out route, or if he does do something more down the field, he can contribute with his catching skills as well. And, you know, he picked up, what, you know, 37 or so receiving yards last game. I think that's, you know, invaluable to have, that he doesn't always have to be, you know, grinding it out for 100 yards on the ground, that he can also add an aerial threat. And Tyree, Kelly acknowledged that Chris Tyree has not been playing or practicing like a freshman, that he is, you know, has the body and the mental toughness and the intelligence as well of one of his upperclassmen leader players, and he wants to go to Tyree more down the stretch in this season. And I think having a 1-2 punch with Tyree and Kieran Williams will be incredibly dangerous, with Kieran Williams being more of the receiving back who can do things outside, and Tyree obviously being more of a, you know, ball carrier.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 1-2 punch of Williams and Tyree. But let's not forget about Sebo Flemister. He's also a weapon out of the backfield. He was actually the leading rusher this game, 48 yards and a touchdown. He's played really well, in addition to those two running backs. Overall, our backfield has a lot of depth, and really you can't go wrong with any of them.
That's what we keep going back to. We may not necessarily have the highest top-end talent, but I think it's the depth and the consistency throughout the lineup that is going to prove invaluable down the stretch, especially when injuries inevitably do start to ramp up.
Yeah, and a trend that continued this game that has been going on all season is the turnover battle. We have consistently won the turnover battle. It was 3-0 this game. We had 3 interceptions, one from the previously mentioned Owusu Koromoa, another from Nick McLeod, and another from linebacker Bo Bauer. So the defense continues to get turnovers, and the offense limits the turnovers, which really leads to the wins in the close games, and now finally we got our blowout.
Yeah, I think that part of it has been in the past the conservative play calling. I think that has almost been a criticism. We don't turn the ball over because we don't take those shots down the field. And obviously, you don't want to throw interceptions, but I almost think that those would be indicative of at least trying to move the ball. Ian Book at least trying to believe in his receivers this year, because a lot of times we saw Louisville, we put up 12 points against one of the most porous defenses in all of the country. And that was because we threw a lot of, you know, dink and dunk plays, just a little, you know, curls, screen routes across the middle that only pick up 4 yards at a time. So obviously the touchdown interception ratio for Book is good, but I would like to see maybe a few more interceptions, just because that proves that he is being aggressive and isn't afraid to throw the deep ball when he needs to.
Yeah, you mentioned trusting our receivers. We lost Claypool. We lost Cole Kmet. we needed guys to step up and catch passes over the middle of the field on the sidelines. Skowronek did his job this game. Also, Michael Meyer, stud freshman, had 5 catches,
Baby
73
Gronk.
yards and a touchdown. Yes, known as Baby Gronk. He's looked very well throughout the start of the season, the start of his Notre Dame career. But yeah, we need these pass catchers to step up, and we have to mention Braden Lenzy. Tough loss.
2 to 4 weeks.
He pulled his hamstring. He's going to be out for the Georgia Tech game as well as the Clemson game. Huge loss. But what other receivers are you looking at to step up?
Well, my first one, actually not a receiver, but another tight end, Tommy Trimble. We talk a lot about, Baby Gronk and Michael Mayer as being such a standout. But I like to liken Notre Dame to tight end U. I think we produce some of the best tight ends in the country. We have had Kyle Rudolph, Cole Kmetz, Tyler Eifert. And I think that, obviously, Mayer's going to be one of the next elite ones at the next level. But I think Tommy Trimble is a phenomenal athlete as well. He has the intangibles. He has the size, the speed, the strength. And I think that if we run more 2 tight end sets, that can be invaluable in a matchup nightmare for a lot of these cornerbacks. I think that he should be able to open up plays down the field more. We talked about Book needing to be more aggressive, to force these plays. And I trust both Trimble and Mayer to go one-on-one against the corners, to go up and use their size to reel in those tough catches. I think he's going to open up the field and allow us to score some more deep plays, both inside and in the slot, because he's just that versatile.
Yeah, overall, a very impressive performance from Notre Dame, winning 45-3, exactly what we needed to get back on track after a few wins that were a little too close for comfort. So it was a great first road trip for the team. And now let's go to a segment, our correspondent Chloe Stafford interviewing people about Notre Dame football. Let's see how much they know.
Okay. Can you name one coach other than Brian Kelly?
No.
Can you take a guess?
I was a football manager. I feel like I should know this.
You were a football manager.
Yeah, last year I did it for a couple months.
Gosh, maybe this is why you're not a football manager anymore. Name one coach other than Brian Kelly.
I cannot do that.
Okay, this is better. Who does Notre Dame play this weekend?
Georgia Tech.
Correct.
Georgia Tech.
Oh, we got it.
This weekend?
Yes.
I didn't realize there was a game this weekend. I know Clemson's next week, but
Clemson.
No, wrong.
What?
No, we do play this weekend. We play away.
Oh, I have no idea.
It begins with a G.
Georgia.
Yes, ding, 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 ding. Yeah, Georgia Tech. All right, what's Georgia Tech's mascot?
A tiger? I don't know.
a peach?
Are they red and black, right?
No, that's Georgia.
Oh.
I think Georgia Tech's yellow and black.
Yeah, the bees? Like the bomb?
Yeah, the yellow jackets.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What's Ian Book's number?
12.
Ding, 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 baby.
Is he 14?
I'll give you a hint. If you add the numbers together, it's 3.
12.
Yes, there we go.
11,
+1.
12.
Yes, we got that one. What do you think about Bob Duncan's play last week?
Great. I have no idea what it was.
Oh, Bob Duncan is the dad on Good Luck Charlie.
Oh, what? I'm really confused.
I'm gonna say it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I would say so.
I have no idea who Bob Duncan is.
I think you might know who Bob Duncan is.
Oh, from Good Luck Charlie?
Yes! He's not a football player, he's on Good Luck Charlie. Kelly? Wait, film me. Kelly! Alright, so, not sure if you know, lovely producer, worker, great friend on the show, Kelly Gorman, NDTV specialist. Whoa! Yeah, sorry, technical difficulty. You need to find her. She doesn't like being on camera, so we have to ambush, you know? You know how it works. Okay, we're gonna be sneaky. I'm gonna have to go through it. Oh my gosh, film. Kelly! Oh my god, we found her. Kelly. We found her. Can I ask you one question? Here's one personal question. Would you rather get rid of COVID immediately or have Notre Dame beat Clemson?
Get rid of COVID.
Wrong answer. Okay.
For the humanitarian purpose, I have to go with COVID.
Okay. You heard it here first.
Get rid of COVID immediately, 100%.
That's so nice of you, even though we already both had COVID, but it's fine.
I'd rather have them beat Clemson.
Heck yeah, go Irish. Thank you. Yes, amazing, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chloe, and we are back. Now let's take a look around college football, and we actually have some breaking news that we just received during the segment. Star Clemson quarterback and Heisman frontrunner Trevor Lawrence has tested positive for the coronavirus, and he will likely be out this week and possibly next week when they travel here to South Bend to play us. What are the implications on the game, John?
That is a shocker. I mean, talk about timing. We were just discussing the effects of the coronavirus on the college football landscape and the importance of having depth. Obviously, nobody can replace Trevor Lawrence. He's arguably the best quarterback in football. My hot take was actually Justin Fields deserves the Heisman this year and that he is the best quarterback. I would take him over Trevor Lawrence if I was the Jets this year, who are inevitably going to be picking first. But really, this is just a blow to Clemson and to Trevor. We know that, obviously, he should be able to emerge from this unscathed, but we don't really know. I remember there was a Boston Red Sox pitcher who was infected with the coronavirus and now has long-term heart problems, and he was unable to pitch this year. So I really just hope the best, and I'm praying for Trevor Lawrence and all the other Clemson players who tested positive, and I hope he has a speedy recovery.
Yeah, it's important to note that while it is probably something that will be celebrated throughout campus, we do have to, we cannot ignore the implications of the coronavirus going through the Clemson locker room, going through the Clemson campus. So we definitely want to, send our thoughts and prayers to them.
Be respectful in that honor. At the end of the day, it's just a game, and these are lives at stake.
Yeah, but that does have huge implications on our game against them. Maybe he won't be available for the prep. You never know how it's going to affect it. But you did mention Justin Fields. Let's move on to the Big Ten. They started play this week. We saw number 5 Ohio State. They opened their season against Nebraska with a 52-17 win. Fields went 20 for 21, only threw 1 incompletion, 276 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, added 54 on the ground, and another score. Is he a Heisman contender after the season started so late for the Buckeyes? And where do you see Ohio State in the college football playoff picture?
Well, you heard what I just talked about during the Trevor Lawrence segment. I am a big believer in Justin Fields. I think he is the best quarterback in the nation, and I would take him over Trevor Lawrence. I know that's a bit of a hot take. He doesn't have, necessarily the same accolades as Lawrence. He hasn't been doing it as long, but I think he has every bit the same talent of Trevor. And I think Ohio State is also the best team in the country. I grew up in Michigan, so I know a lot about Michigan football. I know a lot about the Big Ten. And Ohio State, year in and year out, looks like the most complete team to me. Obviously, I think they should have won against Clemson last year in the playoff. LSU, I don't really think anyone was beating LSU with the hot streak they were running. Joe Burrow had the best single season by a quarterback in college football history. But I think Ohio State returns as the most complete team top to bottom. They have plenty of high-end talent, bolstered by their receiving core and their defensive line, and of course, Justin Fields as well. But again, they have depth. They have what we have, but they also have star players that we can't necessarily boast about. I would obviously think Notre Dame could contend with these guys, but they're currently my pick to win it all, and I don't see anybody giving them a challenge in the Big Ten, especially with Graham Mertz potentially being out for several weeks now due to coronavirus.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I think Ohio State is easily one of the most complete teams in the nation, if not the most complete. I think it's clear that them and Clemson, and I would say Alabama and Georgia, you throw them in there, but Ohio State and Clemson are clearly the top 2 teams. I think that Fields is genuinely a Heisman contender, even though it started a little late. If he puts up these type of numbers and Ohio State consistently blows out very solid Big Ten teams, I can definitely see him in the Heisman picture, especially now if Trevor Lawrence might drop in the rankings due to this coronavirus fiasco. So we'll see what happens there. So let's now talk about your home team, Michigan Wolverines. They opened the season with a very impressive win over Minnesota, 49-24. And Minnesota came into the season after a great year last year under new head coach P.J. Fleck. He's done a very good job. Yeah, rode the boat. He's done a very good job there. And then I was surprised to see the explosiveness of Michigan's offense. They had 225 passing yards, 9 per play, and then 8.3 yards per rush to put up over 250 yards on the ground. Is this team an offense for real? Can they contend with the likes of Ohio State?
Well, frankly, I was shocked by that game. I thought Minnesota would win that game pretty decisively. I am a big P.J. Fleck guy. Obviously, he came from Western Michigan before moving on to Minnesota. And what he's able to do in his first year with that program was phenomenal. The way that they were able to compete for a Big Ten championship like that. And I thought I would see nothing but progress this year in another bout and possibly challenging Ohio State even. That was not the case. They did not look prepared out there. And, you say what you will about P.J. Fleck, but I think he was in a tough situation this year because of the coronavirus. The teams have not been able to prepare as much as they would have liked. They didn't have the same off-season training, and especially the Big Ten coming in this late into the season, this is their first game, whereas Notre Dame has played several now. So you could argue, first game jitters, a couple of just trying to settle into the groove for the season. But I don't know. I'm worried about Minnesota. And I'm certainly not buying into this Wolverine team. As long as Jim Khaki Harbaugh is the coach, I do not think they are a championship contender. It is no knock against Harbaugh. He's a good guy and a good coach, but he is trying too hard to be Bo Schembechler, I think. He refuses to give up his, old school smash mouth Big Ten style where, you run jumbo sets and run it right up the middle. And Josh Gaddis, the new offensive coordinator they brought in last year from Florida, he's had moments where he's implemented some sort of offensive innovation. We saw that in the Minnesota game to an extent. And that's what I want to see. I want to see Harbaugh, modernizing the game a bit more because we saw that in his stints in Stanford and San Francisco. Colin Kaepernick lit the world on fire because of the new revolutionary play style that Harbaugh was running. Teams eventually caught on to that, but I think if Harbaugh tries to do something similar in Michigan, he can still be highly successful. Joe Milton, the quarterback this year, looked very, very good in his first game. I was always a big Dylan McCaffrey supporter personally. He ended up losing the quarterback competition and transferred out, but I 100% believe that Harbaugh made the right decision, at least with picking Milton, because he looked phenomenal to me.
Yeah, great insight there on the Michigan football team this year. Now let's move on to Notre Dame's game this weekend at Georgia Tech, second road trip in a row. Georgia Tech is 2-3 in the ACC, haven't played too well, coming off back-to-back losses to Clemson. Obviously, that 73-7 disaster of a game that it seemed everyone on campus seemed to be talking about that.
Largest point differential in conference game ever.
Yeah, that was absolutely brutal. And then another big loss to Boston College. They lost by 21 there. Georgia Tech is 18th in the nation in rush yards at 213 a game. They're going to be relying on the ground game. Do you see any way that they can establish some type of run against our vaunted defense?
I wouldn't rule it out. I think this Georgia Tech team is very confusing. I think it's hard to establish who is, a competitor this year because of so much uncertainty. And that is what I mentioned, like a lack of practice, I think. We saw Georgia Tech beat Florida State and Louisville. Louisville gave us a run for our money. We only beat them by 5 points. Florida State, while we had a solid win, we probably should have won by more. And you saw them beat North Carolina, who was, an ACC contender this year as well. So, good teams lose to bad teams, and it's really difficult to decide which is which when we have these matchups. I'm still fully confident that Notre Dame will win and win decisively. I believe by at least 30 points. That's another hot take of mine. I don't know. But I really think that we talk about the consistency of this defense from top to bottom. I think that we're going to see a big game from a lot of our defensive linemen, and they're going to be able to shut down the run. Obviously, with how much they rely on the run, they're going to get up some yards, but it certainly won't be successful enough to win the game.
Yeah, you mentioned that this Georgia Tech team has competed against teams in the ACC, Florida State, who did go on and beat North Carolina. However, I agree with you. I think that this is going to be another easy Notre Dame win. I don't think it should give us much trouble. However, it's important that we don't look ahead to Clemson and take Georgia Tech as not as seriously as we should. So it's very important that we stay disciplined and get the job done. Now, real quick, who are you looking for big games from on Notre Dame this weekend?
So I want to highlight Lawrence Keys III. So he is my breakout candidate in addition to Tommy Tremble after losing Braden Lindsey. I think that Keys, he excels in the slot. He's great at generating separation, especially on drags and crosser routes. But he can also be a threat outside as well. You put him outside, one-on-one coverage and send him deep down the field on a vertical route. He wins a lot of those jump balls, and I could see us going to him as one of our big play threats this week.
Yeah, you mentioned Lawrence Keys, and he's going to have to do a great job as our pass catching threat. Now, I think that's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us on Shamrock
Of course,
Sports.
it was an honor.
I'm Kieran Cantwell. This is John Bailey. Thank you for watching. See you next week.